spirit of Pride Month, I wanted to share something really personal, and that is my coming out story. I haven't really told many people about it because it's a complicated one. So as some of you may know, I haven't hid it from anyone, but I am pansexual. Kenzie, what does that mean? Well, I'll tell you. So pansexuality is the attraction to people regardless of their gender or gender expression or gender identity. For the longest time, I identified as bisexual, and I still feel that I do. I've actually talked to a lot of fellow people who identify as pansexual that saying they're bisexual is easier to explain it to other people, because when I've told people I'm pansexual, I don't always get a pleasant response. It's because they're always like, oh my god, it's another thing that we have to learn. Oh my god, all these different terms, I'm supposed to keep track. I'm like, I never asked you to keep track of them all, I'm just telling you mine. So I grew up in a really accepting and loving environment. My family was super loving and super accepting. My church and my church choir was super loving and super accepting. And just the people that I was surrounded with, like, it was such a nurturing environment. I was always taught to be myself and be proud of who I am and stand up for what I believe in and what I believe was right. As a kid, I had a lot of crushes on my friends and boys growing up, but you know, I never really thought about girls in that way, and it wasn't because it was bad, just because, I don't know, you never really think about it. But I think I always knew deep down there was something. By the time I got to middle school, I knew something was up. I couldn't really put a word on it. Never really thought as bisexuality as a thing that could be applied to me. Now looking back at how I felt for some of the girls that I was friends with, those feelings were the same that I felt for the guys that I had crushes on. It took some like self-discovery to be like, oh my gosh, I am bisexual. And I didn't really like put that term to me until I was about a sophomore in high school. My freshman year of high school, I was kind of still trying to figure myself out as a person, and I still feel like I am. I feel like with every year that goes past, I become more me. But by the time I was a sophomore, I really understood and put that word bisexual to myself. I didn't come out to anyone until I was a junior in high school. A common thing that people ask people who are bisexual or gay or is like, how do you know if you haven't been in a relationship with someone of the opposite gender? You just know. It's not about experience. It's about discovering something inside yourself that you didn't know existed before, or you couldn't put a word to, or you just didn't truly understand. I wasn't allowed to date anyone until I was 16, so I wasn't really trying to think about relationships. I mean, my friends around me were in relationships, and I definitely had major crushes on people who I knew liked me back, and I couldn't do anything about it because I wasn't allowed to be in a relationship. I'm not really upset about the 16 rule. You're not going to end up with the person you date your freshman year of high school. And it would have been just like another gross story you have to tell later on in your life. And I'm glad that I like waited until I was definitely older. And I knew I was by the point I started dating people, but I still hadn't come out to anybody yet. Not that I was afraid to, I needed like a push. I don't know. I just needed something to get me to do it. So I started dating this guy when I turned 16. He was actually the first person that I came out to. You know, I felt really comfortable with him. And being bi doesn't change the fact that you like the person you are with, you know? And my ex took it really well, and it was a really big awakening for me. As much as I resent him as a person, his acceptance of me in that moment meant a lot, because it helped me feel comfortable enough to come out to my group of friends who they had already all like come out to each other. Like a lot of them were pan or bi or gay or gender fluid, you know, and I was just another one to add on the top of the Christmas tree. I came out to my friends and they were like, no way, and I was like, yes way, and they're like, oh my god, that's so awesome. I was like, I know, it's super cool. Such like a loving experience to come out to people. And then I had enough courage and I was building it up to tell my parents and my family, and then my sister came out as bisexual. And so I was kind of like, well, thanks for stealing my thunder. I never said that, but I was like, oh great, my parents just found this out and now I'm gonna be saying it too. So I told them and they were okay with it. They still love me the same. A great experience. I actually told them in this room and it was fine. And I ended up breaking up with that guy for unrelated reasons. He started being really awful and I didn't want to surround myself with that. Not too long after I dated him, I got with a girl and she was one of my friends, and it was a nice relationship. It was pretty short, but I don't have any complaints about it. I felt comfortable being out with her in my school. People seemed generally accepting. Like, I just thought my high school was like a really nice environment. That relationship didn't last, you know. I moved on. I dated other people. I didn't have a relationship with anyone who ever wasn't okay with this part of me. I just felt really loved. I was super excited to start my senior year of high school, and it started off really well. I don't have any complaints. But one thing you should know about my high school is that it's a small school, so friend groups overlap. And I knew that I would have to talk to my ex again, even though our relationship didn't end on the best terms. I'm gonna call my ex A just because it'll make things easier. A started texting me really weird things. For your ex to randomly text you out of the blue is just so weird. And I called him out on it and I was like, you can't just text me these things. Like, what are you doing? And that text message conversation went on for a very long time. We started off there, we ended up with agreeing to be civil to each other because our friend groups were intertwining and we didn't want to make it awkward for the people around us. I have avoided drama in my 4 years up until this point. I don't really feel like being a part of any story or anything. So things are going fine until winter break. Now, I was at this party with my family and I got some weird notification that I was added to and taken off of a Facebook group chat. I was like, okay, I'll look at this later. Like, I didn't care. I got home and I looked at it and it was my ex and all of his friends. Little did they know that every message they'd ever sent each other loaded, so I could see everything. And then I started scrolling up. I noticed that there were screenshots of that text message conversation in the group chat and I was like, what? All of his friends were telling him what to say to me and they were laughing. Some of these guys that I had considered good friends were calling me things like, pardon my language, but a bitch or a stupid bitch. And I couldn't think of for the life of me why. I mean, just a week ago we were having fun and hanging out and this is what was going on. And as weird as that was, I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep scrolling. Then I saw my Facebook profile picture being turned into some weird meme about me and my ex dating, making fun of him and me at the same time. I can't describe it to you. It was one of the creepiest things I had ever seen. And then I kept scrolling and like the air was taken out of my lungs. The name of the group chat was being changed to things like, this chat made Kenzie lesbian, this chat made Kenzie gay AF, this chat made Kenzie half gay AF, faggot, being thrown around like it was nothing, all while my name was riddled through all these comments. You know, I was pretty sheltered when it came to my coming out story. I was lucky. Not many people have such a loving and accepting one as I did. And so I didn't think something like this would happen to me. I didn't think that someone would be making fun of something about myself that I couldn't ever change. But I just sat there with my phone in my hand, frozen like a deer in headlights. I called my friend up, who I trusted a lot, and I told her everything. I sent her screenshots. I cried over the phone. I told her everything, how I was feeling. I asked her, what do I do? What do I do? I always wanted to stand up for what's right, and I knew that that wasn't right. And I couldn't just let them get away with saying something like that, right? I didn't want to make a big deal out of anything. I had gotten to this point in high school without really drawing any bad attention to myself. But my friend and I agreed that I was going to talk to this teacher that I really trusted at my school when I got back from winter break. So the first day back, I went to him, I talked to him, and I told him everything. I showed him my screenshots, I showed him the chat. My teacher said he would talk to the rest of the guys and that I should talk to my ex, and I was like, okay, I mean, that's fine, whatever. I just kind of want it to be done, and I want them to know that this isn't right. I'm not proud to say that when I sat down with my ex, I was really mad. I did yell at him, because I didn't know what else to do. I told him how his words affected me, and told him that any faith I had in him and me possibly becoming friends again, or any faith I had in him as a person, is just shattered. Then he returns with trying to blame himself as a victim because I broke up with him over 1.5 years ago, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. Homophobia doesn't come from breakups. You don't just decide to be homophobic because someone broke up with you. My teacher talked to the other guys, and they agreed on their own to write me apology letters, which I never got, and I honestly don't care because all I wanted was for them to leave me alone. The only apology letter I got was from my ex. It was literally just the same nonsense he was trying to feed me in person. I just threw it away immediately. But what was worse is that I had to go through the rest of my senior year knowing that these boys said what they said about me. And I thought I would get some sympathy, you know, because these are the same guys plus so many more that use gay as an insult to each other, that call each other faggots in person while like I'm standing right there and other queer people are standing right next to them and have no issue with it. Other teachers knew. They knew what happened and no one cared. I was stupid enough to think they would leave me alone. You know, I really thought that it was over. But every time they would walk into a room, my heart would pound because they scared me. Because I know that they had used their power successfully over me and made me feel ashamed about something that was a part of myself that I would never change. And it seemed like every week I would just find some new horrible thing someone said about me, or someone has now chosen to believe it's true, or would come crying to me about because they heard this about me. Literally, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. I was turned into like some evil villain just for being me and standing up for myself. I lost close friends because of the things they said to me. One of my closest friends still ended up getting with one of those guys after hearing everything. Couldn't care about my feelings. I had another friend tell me to my face to get over it. We'd be happy to hear that I am, but it took me a while. And it's horrible that those people have that power over you. They get to go on the rest of their life being free and happy, and I have to go on with the rest of my life as this side note. By the way, this happened to me. Thought you should know. Their faces are ones that I have finally forgotten, and I don't ever plan on going back. I'm now 2 years into college, and I couldn't be happier. I'm doing what I love. I'm expressing my art. I'm living my true self. I'm surrounded by loving family and friends. I'm with a man that I would go to the end of the universe and back for, who treats me amazing and doesn't care that I am pansexual, because it's just a part of who I am, and it doesn't change how much I love him. I needed to share this story. Not for me, because through my own time, I have worked on it and I've gotten over this. There's people out there probably going through the same thing and need to know that someone out there has experienced what they're experiencing and knows how it feels to be trapped and to feel like you can't go anywhere, or you just have to wait it out. Because you can't wait it out, and you can get away from those people. When you are ready and you feel comfortable and safe, it is so amazing to come out of the closet and be your true self. You may hit some rough patches in the way, but they only make you stronger. I can say that mine definitely have made me a stronger person, and a person who isn't scared to be herself and doesn't care what other people think about her. And I know there are people going through worse. I send you my love and know that you will always find someone who loves and accepts you. You will find those people. And as cheesy and as overplayed as this sounds, it does get better. It really does.